It's the UK School Games, and 1,500 of the country's most gifted young athletes have gathered together to compete in an event that will showcase their talent.
So the UK School Games were created with the idea of being a pinnacle event. What's fantastic to see at events like this is the way that young people don't distinguish at all between those with a disability and those without a disability. They're kind of all in this together. They're all elite level athletes. They're all the very, very best athletes in the United Kingdom.
Each young athlete has a dream of competing at the Olympics in 2012. And the upcoming events are a crucial step on the long road towards qualification. Last time, 15-year-old Michael Reeve just missed qualifying for Beijing by 5 seconds.
Fingers crossed we'll see him on the podium in 2012 in London.
It's just extraordinary, to go out there and have so many people looking at you and clapping for you when you're walking around. With all the lights going as well, it's made it very special.
The Games will be another chance for Michael to improve his personal best time. 3 years ago, Michael was unable to swim, but then got talent spotted by veteran disability swimming coach Jil Stidever.
Not quite so good, but you glided just that slight bit. What I keep in mind very much is keeping his concentration on the activity, and particularly because Michael is visually impaired, he's registered blind in fact. I find it very difficult myself, and I did find it even more difficult when I started working with him, because he doesn't look at you. He doesn't, you think you're talking to a brick wall, and then he goes off and does exactly what you've asked him. I want to see your legs moving. Go!
Well, I was just waddling along, trying to swim, and I think a lot of the coaches describe me as a dying duck. And Jill approached me and says I could make a really good swimmer. Obviously not believing her because I couldn't swim.
He was a swimmer who could just about do 2 lengths. When I say just about do 2 lengths, he could do 2 lengths, but it certainly wasn't what you would call swimming. He obviously was trying his hardest, but had got no stroke technique, and he needed to be taught. Kick straight out of your turn, and then you got the angle wrong. I asked him if he was interested in learning to swim more, and he said he was, and I said, well, it's a whole family thing. Your parents have got to want you to do it, you've got to want to, but if you want to, I'm willing to help you, and you could come and join our club. And that's literally what he did. His parents have supported him.
Push out, Michael.
Come on, like this.
Hi. The kid's getting quite a lot of trouble. I mean, we've known him to get into trouble, not with the police or anything, because we found out and stopped it. A lot of his friends now that he used to go around with are all in trouble with the police. They run riots around the estate, they cause a lot of trouble. Michael has took himself away from that situation, and is starting to make things with his life.
You hear of kids his age, they go out celebrating because they've just got an ASBO. I mean, it's a street cred to have an ASBO. I mean, it doesn't make sense. I mean, I wouldn't. Any of my kids got into trouble.
They'd know about it.
That they would know desperately. I like to think that the kids know that they know where the boundaries are. You know, when they get old, when he gets to 18, 19, he wants to go out for a drink. He's old enough, he can go out for a drink. But like now, he knows it's not acceptable now. He wouldn't do it.
These are some of my certificates. I've got some more in my folder downstairs. 3 years ago, I was very close to becoming a hoodie, getting into trouble on the streets. But I think having something to go for and knowing that you can actually do something better than just dossing around the streets changed me from getting off the streets to getting in the pool. 100% me.
I mean, he's a typical teenager sometimes, you know, when we get the back chat and everything else and the stroppiness. But, you know, I look at some of the teenagers now and he is nothing, nowhere near par in them. I'm just hoping he's going the right way in life, and I think he will. He's got his head screwed on.
We're all interested in sport because we're all outside kids. My oldest brother, Ben and James, they've played rugby for teams. My older sister, Lorette, has done football for teams. My sister who's at work now, she's done the RAF cadets. Just sporty people.
They've all got something special in their own way, and, you know, I'm just glad when it's bedtime some nights. But, you know, they are an enjoyment, even though they're hard work.
1, 2, 1, duck. 1, 2.
Well, Will is the youngest, and he's very much into boxing. He trains twice a week. Quite a lot of potential with him.
1, 2. 1, 2. 4.
Oh, I miss it then.
I trained as a boxer when I was a kid, just a general gym train out, and so I know what needs to be done. And then the club that he goes to, I slowly got involved bit by bit. Keep going. Fast as you can, bro. The coach that trains him says he got a punch at the age of a 16-year-old, and it'd been hard to see him in the Olympics after the 2012 one. He could quite make it easily. So that is an option and an aim to go for. So hopefully I can get Michael into it as well, which will make him a lot stronger in the water. Sometimes you've got to give them a push. Sometimes kids get fed up, you know, like Michael, he got to a stage where he wasn't improving. He was having a growth spurt, he was going through puberty. That short period of time where he was growing and he wasn't improving, we were having to push him to carry on. 18, 19, 20, 21.
If he wants it, he's got to work for it. And he realises that now in his own mind. Nothing comes without, you know, work and effort.
25.
He's not going nowhere.
27. 28.
I normally only do the sit-ups because that works on my core. I normally go gym on a Monday night and do the same kind of things. But William does it every night of him.
3, 4, 5. I think it's important to have a goal in life. If you've got an aim to focus on, they're not out and about running right around the streets. So, like Michael, he trains quite a lot. I mean, you just take a lot of time up. We just take a lot of family time up, you know, and it's the family around that has to cope with his training.
What bag is in the car?
I've got a drink bottle.
Drinks in the bag. Because I've sorted it again on a bed.
Jase, where's my shoes?
Just took it off. I wanted to go around my nana's tonight and I can't now because my mum has to take Michael swimming. So that's it.
He starts at 8:30, we get him there for about 8:10, and then he'll come in, he'll have a cup of coffee, then he's got to go all the way back to them to pick him up, you know, and it's like 10:10, 20 to 11 before he's been, you know, able to sit down and what have you, so it's a full-time job. I suspected when I first had him, I'd seen albinisms. There was a family near us when we were growing up, and you know, these people have got white hair and they've got a couple of little kids and they've all got white hair and they all wore glasses. And when I had Michael, I said to the midwife, you know, is this baby an albino? So she says, don't talk so stupid. And I left it at that. I mean, he got a flock of white hair when he was born. But as, you know, the first few weeks of his life, I noticed that his eyes wasn't quite right. And I kept saying, you know, to various people, there's something wrong with these kids, this baby's eyes. And I had my health visitor out and she did all these different tests. No, he's fine. It's just you being paranoid. Anyway, when we went for his 6-week check, I had my postnatal, and he went off into the room with the doctor and a health visitor. The doctor said to me, he said, "Are you still worried about this baby's eye?" So I said, "Yeah, I am." I said, "There's something not right." I said, "I've got other children and none of them have ever been like him." And the doctor said to me, you know, eventually he's going to have to be registered visually impaired. And I said, well, you know, if it's going to happen, do it now, you know. And that's what happened. And, you know, he's had a lot of outside help. From the age of about 2 or 3, I had a teacher from the visually impaired come to see him at home, you know, to try and stimulate him a bit more. But other than that, you know, he has regular eye checks and what have you. But like I say, from day one, I knew there was something not quite right. The thing is with Michael, I've let him lead the life of a normal child. I've never put him in the corner and says, "Oh, you can't do that, it's dangerous." The only thing I do worry about is when he crosses roads. But we've just let him be a child. We've let him play in the garden, we've let him rough and tumble with the other kids. And I think a lot of that has brought him on as well, because I've not, you know, Michael could be a child that was the other way, that sat in a corner and never spoke, and, you know, and he wouldn't have a life. He wouldn't have a life at all.
This little thing here is the difference between Michael doing a nice turn or going to hospital because he hits the pool. He's okay during a slow swim. He's perfectly able to manage. In a fast swim, his stroke times change, so therefore he needs to be tapped so he knows to turn. He has had a few accidents. He has been missed a few times, but 99.9% of the time we catch him. If he knows who it is and he knows he's going to get tapped, he'll go hell for leather. To see what he was to what he is now, it was just like that. His head was above the water and his hands were going like that, and that's all you could see. You know, he was just bobbing around. She said she could see potential in him. She's took him under her wing. And she's worked really hard with him and he's really coming on.
I think the thing you need to look for is this wanting to do well, wanting to succeed, and in particular, it's almost a little gleam in their eye. I've succeeded, I've done that, but come on, what's the next thing I need to do to get even better? And that's what I saw in Michael. He obviously was trying his hardest. You went straight in and you were right underwater. That was a good one.
Jil is the best coach in the country because she knows how to push athletes just past their limits so they're not damaging themselves, but she gets setting the right programmes up. She obviously knows what she's talking about, and her daughter Jil Stidever is a 6-time Paralympian, 16-time gold medalist at the Paralympic Games. So it's truly inspiring to know that she's coached Jane through her career and she's going to do it for me.
It's given him a wider ambition than he had before, and it's given the family as a whole greater stature. It's also helped him in his ideas of what he wants to do at school.
Doesn't matter when I do it, I will go on to work with young people. I'm thinking either social worker or working on the young offenders team. Like, you can't exactly change your peers, but I think to myself, if my peers are like this, what are their children going to be like? And like, I'd like to help them make a difference in their community.
Right, very quickly, just recap where we were in last term and what you were supposed to do over the summer. What you should have with you...
He's doing really well, and I think that he could aim just a little bit more. He's been coming out with C's, so I think he just needs to push himself that little bit further and he could get what he wants to get at the end of the day, and he'll go far.
Just make sure you all show the rules and conduct your game.
Well, obviously we try and include him to the best of our abilities, but obviously there's some aspects of the sport, i.e. like rugby tackling, that he really can't take sort of full part in. Obviously he'll take as much of a part as he can, but when it comes to sort of, you know, subjects or areas that he can't really take a full part in, then sometimes he'll do the skills involved, or other times he'll work with his LSA.
If the weather is really bright outside, he obviously suffers because his condition with his eyes. So we tend to go in the gym and try and do that activity inside the gym. So if it'd be rugby, we'd be passing the ball from each other and doing different styles of whatever they have to do that day.
He has no swim coach at school now. He just does PE at school, and that's been a little bit of a hiccup in that sometimes he's been sent away to do an activity which probably he could have, with a little bit more, I suppose, cooperation, discussion between me. It's probably my fault as well, and the school. He could have found something that would be more beneficial to his sport than throwing a ball to and fro to his TA. I think they may be not realising that quite his ability, and bearing in mind he changed school last year, and I think possibly I'm as guilty as being his coach of not making the step forward. I made the step with his old school and went into his school and discussed what he could do, and the result was extremely good. Now, I haven't made the attempt, and possibly the coach is wrong, but it could have come from the school as well. So it should have it's a two-way thing. We need to sit down and work together.
Well, it's difficult because, I mean, we don't want to sort of say, oh, well, look at Michael, he's visually impaired, you know, put him on a pedestal. You know, I would just say we treat him as we would any other pupil, really. But obviously it's great to have a very talented swimmer in the school, and somebody who's just enthusiastic and sort of eager to volunteer in the community, really. So we wouldn't really label him as special. I just think he's a great role model, you know. It's fantastic, you know, Michael's, I won't say not bothered about his disability. It doesn't affect him in any way. He just gets involved, you know. He doesn't sort of, you know, use it as a label to sort of get out of sport. He does as best as he can. He gets on, and you know, it really is. You know, he goes to all these volunteering events, and the teachers from the high school say, you know, what a great role model he is to, obviously, not only able-bodied but disabled bodies, you know, as well. So, just a great role model, really.
Friday night's a training night for me, but it's also a development night. I applied for some money last year to get younger swimmers involved, to get them aiming for 2012, because obviously our legacy was to get more young children involved in sport. And we got the money, so like when we're swimming along, it's like an aspiration to them to be able to do a complete length, because we've got some severely handicapped children. And in the space of 6 weeks the course has been on, we've had one child that couldn't swim at all to swim in whips.
To a certain extent, he's driven me mad, because he's gained so much from it that he's going out there now and literally in the street is finding other swimmers and inviting them along. And so we've gone from a club which in many ways was dying because I felt I'd done enough, which is now striving out again, and it's all because of Michael.
You know, we'd not seen him for quite a while, and then we went to training with him, I think last week, and just in a few weeks, the difference, it was just, you know, if you're there every day, you don't necessarily see you know, how he's improved. But when you've not been for a little while, to see the improvement that he's made, you know that he's working and he's doing the right things, you know, so it makes it all worthwhile.
They know like how much effort you have to put in to be a swimmer. And even though you're only like doing 2-second PBs at a time, 2 seconds in swimming is a lot of a time. I mean, I missed out on the Paralympic Games just by 5 seconds. So from now to London, I've got a second a year to take off.
You know, he wants to do well. You know, he dreamed to go into the Paralympics. He was hoping this year, but he just missed out. So the next Paralympic coming up, he's determined to get there, whatever it takes. So it's not just about, you know, all the disabilities. We need to watch his class and watch the champ, because his points are worked on the world record and how close he can get to that. So that's what we will be watching.
And every year Great Britain, you see, they put the standards up. So all the time, Michael was about there last year to get onto the talent programme. They put the times up, so now he's chasing that again. And probably this year he'll just about get there and it'll be put up again. You know, so, but all the time he's chasing it and he so much wants it, so, you know.
He's not doing too badly, actually, yes. Yeah.
If I know I've got a race, I will train. It doesn't matter how hard you train. No swimmer or athlete can tell you they don't get nervous before a race or before an event, because they do. It's something that comes with a job. We'll probably do a standard 800 warm-up, probably 200 kick, main set, so probably 8 100s, dives, probably an 800 swim down. Don't sound that odd when you're saying it, but it really is. And like right to the last day, I was training 6 nights a week, 5 nights in the pool, 1 night in the gym.
What I keep in mind too is that when I picked him up, I thought he might be a swimmer that would make international in 2012, but he might not. So that is our goal. We're looking at 2012, but he's tiny. He's gone on a growth spurt and at the moment can look at me just below eye level. He's not quite reached eye level yet, but hopefully he will grow.
Been fairly quick, moderate session, so it's been good. Tired now.
If Michael beats his personal best time in this race, he'll be 1 step closer to 2012.
Wherever it was, we just got there to be there, because you know, to watch something like that and have somebody in that's, you know, is yours. That's you know, done to itself, isn't it?
Michael Reeve.
You start to tighten up and then get stressed, and being an athlete you don't really want to get stressed before you race because your muscles tighten, so just try and keep calm and then just get a bit nervous before you get on the block, but as soon as you're in the water your nerves go and you just think to yourself, get to the other end.
I don't think you feel proud when he's actually swimming, because you're anxious for him, you're eagering him on, but then when it's all over, then you're proud.
Well, when I first did my 50 metres at Loughborough, I did it in 1:37, and now I do it in 30 seconds.
You know, he's not got medals, but he's got personal bests, which is good because that knows that the time he's putting in is working. So yeah, he's starting to improve, and hopefully he can get better now and go on to 2012.
Hopefully he will grow which will help him. If not, his technique has got to be superb.
We try to support him as much as we can at home, and hopefully he'll just, carry on.
I did 2 PBs, so a PB I'm happy with.